Welcome everybody to the Big Miklo Show. I am your host, Big Miklo. Coming up on today's episode, I'm taking you on a trip to Las Vegas. Me and the wife just celebrated 10 years of marriage, so what better place to renew our vows but in Vegas. But this trip was anything but ordinary. A lot of laughs, a lot of surprises, a lot of funny moments. I could have swore I was in an Office episode. I can't wait to share it with you guys. Also, a baby monkey going viral online right now. And I think honestly, the reason why millions of people are emotionally invested has nothing to do with how cute this little guy is. Stay tuned while I break that down. Also, it seems that UFOs no longer a conspiracy theory. All of a sudden, we have elected officials openly talking about hidden technology, secret programs. So what's changed? Is this a possible distraction? And finally, when a cartel kingpin falls, most people think it's a victory. We're gonna check out the latest videos and see how's it really going down in Mexico. Is this a victory for the people? Or like how history's done many other times says otherwise? But before I get into it, I have to do a little bit of housekeeping. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Follow me on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitch, Kick. I will be streaming these episodes live at some point. You won't want to miss out. I really want to interact with the chat. I want to have back and forth conversation with you guys. I want to be able to kind of do this show on the fly, turn on live and just run with it. But first things first, I had to get my first episode out and just record it, shoot it out into the world and just kind of have at it. If you happen to enjoy this video, it would help if you guys can like the show, help push it out into the algorithm for more people to follow me. I would really appreciate it. If not, I still appreciate every view, every comment. You taking the time to watch this show really means the world to me, and I just want to thank you personally. And if you would like to further support the show, head over to patreon.com/bigmiklo. Patrons will get early access, bonus content. Link will be in the description below. Okay, now that I have housekeeping out of the way, let's get into it. It's Las Vegas. If you follow me on social media, mainly Instagram, I kind of posted my whole trip throughout my stories. You got to see a little bit of what went down, but I want to give kind of the full story, full context, set the scene for what exactly took place and how this weekend actually came to be. And honestly, a lot of funny stuff happened, and I really just want to talk about it with someone. So Vegas, me and my wife decided to celebrate our 10 years of marriage, and what better place to do that in the city of Las Vegas. We decided to renew our vows there, and we set up this whole weekend that we can kind of dedicate adults only, invite our friends, they can come out. The last time we got married, or the first time we originally got married, that was such a quick elope type style thing. We kind of did it last minute, kind of told the family, hey, if you can be there, great. If not, we really need to get married right now. I can fill in that story at a later time. But anyways, this was like our second chance to kind of invite people out, enjoy the ceremony with us, watch us renew our vows and kind of just be there, enjoy the weekend and have a fun adult Vegas weekend. We set the date, Valentine's. What better weekend to celebrate love as a couple than on Valentine's weekend? Plus, it was a 3-day weekend. Perfect. So we start the weekend, get a rental car, drive that thing 6 hours from San Diego all the way to Las Vegas. Everything went smooth. We had our alien jerky pit stop, got our food, delicious. Finally get in Vegas. We ride into town. We pick up one of our friends. So the three of us were all riding down to Vegas, having a good time, having our snacks, just enjoying good conversation. Everything went smooth up until this point until it didn't. So we pick up the rental, San Diego airport. The plan was to drop off the rental in the Las Vegas airport. And after a 6+ hour drive, all the traffic that you can imagine on the way up there, everybody and their mom felt like they needed to go to Vegas on this weekend. Me and the wife drop off the car, hop in the Uber, drive over to Resorts World, which, by the way, while I tell this story, you can check out you can check out Resorts World while I finish this story. So we get to our room. It looks just like that. Beautiful room, by the way. Bathrooms, nice. Waterfall shower, separate toilet area from the shower. Honestly, it was really nice. It's about a 3 to 4 year old casino hotel. Opposite end of the strip. We usually like staying at the MGM Grand. This time around, we wanted to spend a little bit more time on this side of the trip, on this side of the strip, on a nicer hotel. Nothing bad to say about the hotel, the casino resort. Oh, when it was time for us to check into our rooms after catching the Uber, after driving for 6 hours, catching the Uber, getting through traffic, finally getting to the front desk. Wife opens up the backpack, looks for her ID, because obviously you need that to check in. And lo and behold, what does she find? Nothing, because wife drops her wallet in the rental. That's exactly my thoughts as soon as we figured out what was going on. So she's panicking, looking through her backpack, dumping everything out while we're in this long line to check in. We're just like, it has to be in here somewhere. There's no way. Sure as shit, wasn't in there. I end up having to use my information. Thank God, no issues there. Same last name, no problem. We get up to the room. She's freaking out like, oh my God, where'd it go? We don't know. Because at this time, we did not know it was in the rental. I started asking her, hey, when we checked out Alien Jerky, did you happen to have your wallet in there? Oh shit, I don't remember. You know, I ended up paying at the register, so she doesn't remember busting out the wallet. And I'm just like, fuck, did you even bring your wallet at all on the trip? And she's like, I don't know. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. And I was like, fuck it. You know what we got to do? We got to call the rental place. So we look up the number online. We try to get a hold of support or customer service. And of course, nobody answers. Straight to robot answering machines. Press 0 if you want to talk to someone. Obviously, it just goes in circles. You don't get a hold of anybody. So I'm just like, you know what? Fuck this. Let's just go back to the rental place and just tell them we need to check the car. She's just like, oh, well, fuck, who knows if the car's still there? Are we going to be able to like locate it? And I was like, it doesn't matter. It does us no good to sit here in Vegas, you without an ID. We're trying to get drunk all weekend, and you're possibly, turns out obviously they never check ID. But who's to say that one time that we actually needed, they actually check her ID? So we didn't want to risk it. Clearly, it was going to ruin her night. Her stressing out was going to ruin my night. So just to button things up, we had to go. So we went back to the car rental place. Took an Uber back over there. Another $30 from there to the casino. Then we had to take one back. Another $30. Not starting off this trip too hot. Doesn't matter. We're going to find this wallet. Get dropped off there. We run back over to where we dropped it off. We tell the attendant, hey, can you please look and see if we have this, if you guys have this rental still here? We dropped off this car, this color. We were here at this time. Can you please see if you can find it? So while she was waiting for them to find the car, I ran off, used the restroom. Since we got off the road trip, I was just kind of holding it. And then with the stress of the lost idea, I never, as soon as I come out, she's right in front of the restroom, happy as can be. Thank God we found the wallet. We take another Uber back over to our casino hotel. We're ready to start our night. So one of the highlights that I wanted to have on this trip was going to a speakeasy, one of these hidden hotel, one of these hidden bars, if you will. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with a speakeasy. Maybe there's one in your hometown. But if you didn't know, Vegas has a ton of them. There's so many, and I had a whole laundry list. I had been watching YouTube videos on where they were, and it just so happened to be at Resorts World that there was a speakeasy, really popular one that we were going to be able to visit. So I was just like, hell yeah, let's go check out their food court, and boom, let's hit up this freaking speakeasy and party it up, which is what we did. Let me pull up this video for you guys so you guys can check it out. So inside Resorts World, they have this pretty decent sized food court, nice variety of food. But one thing that they have in there that you are looking at is this it looks what appears to be a convenience store on the outside, outside of these tables that are just kind of randomly placed in the front of this convenience store, because there's a register kind of off camera to the left and shelving of these cats. What appears to be a convenience store on the outside is actually a facade for something way cooler. So this is a speakeasy called Here Kitty Kitty in Resorts World. And let me play this video so you can kind of get the gist of how this looks. So you approach the front desk, let them know, hey, how long, how many, this was going to be for a party of 4. They originally quoted me an hour and a half. So I'm like, oh, fuck. Well, I mean, we're here. Let's, gamble. We can, gamble for an hour and a half until, our reservation's ready. No worries. And they actually called us back in like 30 minutes. So I don't know if it's just like a default, like, hey, hour and a half. Because that's kind of how long people might take with, the attraction of going in there, getting your drink and trying out different stuff. But it was actually pretty like smooth for us. Oh, here we go. So even the front, like it's super, indistinguishable. Like you wouldn't know. I don't even know what the hell these words mean, but it looks like just extra seating inside a convenience store. Oh, okay. You get to see the front, a little bit of the front desk. This is the food court. It was a really nice food court. This was a pretty cool bar. This is one of those locations where you can grab the cup and like self-dispense the beer, and they'll charge you based on like the amount of beer you dispense. Pretty decent variety of beers that they had there, from just, a variety of IPAs, lagers, variety of IPAs and lagers. It was pretty sweet. A lot better than just your standard beer selection. More nice cuisine, Asian food, Mexican food. Decent stuff there. Honestly, it looks a lot better than what it was, but still pretty cool. Okay, yep. So that's the shelving, front door that takes you inside the bar. And this is pretty much the exact same layout that when we went to go visit, where this group is sitting right here in the front, where the guy has his legs crossed. This is exactly where we were sitting. And honestly, the amount of people in this bar right now, or that are in there right now in this video, is about what we experienced when we went as well. And this was like around like 9 o'clock at night, maybe. So there really wasn't that many people there, which is pretty sweet. Vibes are cool. They actually had a DJ going while we were in there, and the drink menu was pretty sweet. Like drink menu was pretty good. They had a pretty good selection of drinks, spirits, beers, all kinds of stuff you can make in there. That was pretty cool, fancy, for the gram and all that, but really nice. Drinks were a little pricey, as you can see in the subtitles right there, from 20 to 30 bucks. I think this video might be a little old, but part of what was really cool was you still got these cool little sphere ice cubes in there, ice spheres. And yeah, that was pretty cool. It kind of made my old fashioned, pretty cool looking. I did enjoy that for sure. Nice little fancy cocktails. The restrooms, very cool with the neon lights. It definitely enjoyed that right around the corner from the speakeasy. Overall, good vibe. It was a good way for us to kind of start that trip on a high after that scare of potentially losing that wallet. And we spent quite a few hours in there. We probably stayed in there till about 12, 11. Yeah, 12, maybe a little past 12. No, how late did we stay in there? Nah, probably stayed in there past 12, because I remember getting to the room around 2 a.m. And one thing I forgot to mention, the Resorts World, shout out to them. They set off our trip really nicely in the hotel room. They had the bottle of the champagne iced. They couple glasses. They had the chocolate covered strawberries. Our room was right in front of the window where the building has the display of like the advertisements and all that. It was a pretty sweet room. They definitely hooked us up with a good view and the complimentary champagne and the chocolate covered strawberries. Definitely appreciated that a lot. But one thing that kind of took the kind of set the tone for the rest of the trip was my wife, a little bit of a lightweight. She took that bottle of champagne and she kind of drug it with her that whole evening leading up until Here Kitty Kitty. And she pretty much downed that whole bottle of champagne by herself. Not a whole lot of food that was eaten prior to that, but between the bottle of champagne, the strong spirit cocktails that we got over at Here Kitty Kitty, she got pretty toasty that night, and she was definitely on one of those trips where she was up all night, back and forth from the restroom, throwing up. Like I said, she's a lightweight, which led us to the following morning, the hangover morning, which was great. She, felt like shit the entire morning that we were supposed to be getting our vows renewed, and we originally were supposed to go to the what's that popular breakfast spot? The Pepper Mill, which was right across the street from the hotel we were staying at, which was part of the reason why we even stayed there in the first place. We had to skip this time around, and I had to opt for something light for her. I tried to go look for a smoothie, acai bowl in the morning, maybe an iced coffee, which I found, which even that turned out to be a little bit weird of a thing because the ladies that were working it hardly spoke any English. And it was hard to communicate exactly what I was trying to order, but at the same time, like, you would think the etiquette when you're kind of like swamped at a little food court kiosk is to, one person takes the orders, the other person starts making the food, and then in between the other person hops in, but you continuously, take orders. What these ladies decided to do was they didn't want to take anybody's orders until they completed all the orders that were already pending. So there was a pretty long line. People kind of left in and out, like, just because they got tired of waiting, and it was early in the morning. People were hungry. So I kind of waited there for a pretty decent amount of time before I was able to get my food, take it up to the room. And then, of course, like, the acai bowl that I picked for her was green. I've never seen a green acai bowl. I had no problem eating it. I thought it tasted fine, but wife, being a texture person, where the color of something, the texture of something, the smell of something could like totally just turn her off to it. She didn't appreciate the green, so she ate a little bit of it. I crushed mine. I was starving from the morning, missing the good peppermill breakfast, and just kind of hung out with her in the room for the first half of the day. Just kind of kicked it, watched TV. I'm pretty much sitting here like, damn, this is supposed to be our crazy Vegas weekend, and it's turning into this like, oh my God. Now it's just kind of like one thing after another. This leads us to this being on Valentine's Day, Valentine's morning. I had a buddy fly in to join me on my behalf, on my half of the party for the wedding party. And the plan was wife to go with her friends who were over at the Sahara, get dressed in her wedding, in her little nice vow renewal outfit. I would get dressed in my tuxedo with my buddy over at our resort at Resorts World. We would take our Uber and meet each other down there at the chapel of the Bells. That's what it was called. And man, Chapel of the Bells, what an interesting place. First off, I had no idea what to expect going into Chapel of the Bells. Okay, so this brings us to the vow renewal over at Chapel of the Bells. And let me tell you, if you've never been to Chapel of the Bells, this photo right here encapsulates everything that still looks like Chapel of the Bells. They still have all these decorations, these drapes, these vines that are draped all around this little stage. Very small, quaint little chapel. But anywho, We get there. I had no idea what to expect. So I show up in a tuxedo. Obviously, I want to look nice, look good, formal. I don't dress formal anymore. So I was I was a little excited to finally get to, dress up a little something, kind of look a little nice. And as me and my buddy and his wife walk into the chapel, we get there first before my wife. We walk in, it's a small little place. It's attached to like this motel looking thing, I'm like, oh shit, okay, what the heck? So we walk in. I notice we get in there, it's small, nobody's in the lobby. We sit down, just kind of wait to check in, let them know that we're here, ready for our time. And the couple in front of us, boom, double doors open, and they walk out, just them two, right? This is a place where a lot of people are just doing a lot of elopements and stuff like that. And it's a guy in a blazer wearing a t-shirt tucked in to his brown cargo pants. Brown cargo pants. Oh, and flip-flops. So I'm sitting here in the lobby, suited and booted, tuxedo, slacks, dress shirt, bow tie, nice shoes, blazer at least. And I don't know how a man dressed like that can make a man dressed in a tuxedo feel so out of place. I felt like I was the ridiculous one. I'm over here thinking that this is a place where I needed to dress nicely. All the while, I have this older gentleman over here who's clearly done way too much cocaine in his life. His nose was sunken in. He just looked like he was Vegas personified, like been there from the heyday, Fremont Street up and down that place. And I'm over here like fresh to death, suited and booted as if I just freaking, like 24 magic, 24 karat, like, man, like I had no business dressing that nice in this place, long story short. But you know what? The best part about this trip was me and my buddies and my wife's friends. We had an awesome time doing this, and a lot of it was the company. We had a lot of good laughs. I just could not help but roast every single person that I saw come in and out of that place, from the cokehead with the sunken nose looking like Gonzo from the Muppets in those cargo pants, flip flops, to the cholo in the Pendleton button up Ben Davis pants with the boots, and his chola wife with their hair draped down in front of her looking like the Ring, who went right after us. There was so many. The Chapel of the Bells is ran by this family, older family, and they clearly are this weird, dysfunctional, like, to kind of paint a picture, the sign when you walk in that says no food or drinks allowed. We're sitting there in the lobby, making sure we don't have anything, we're not allowed to have in there. We have one of the workers instantly run in there with his drink, yells at the grandpa. I think they called him Reverend, but I'm pretty sure they're all related. But he was just like, Reverend, your Dr. Pepper's ready. And we're just kind of all looking at each other like, oh shit, they're yelling at each other in here, like as if like there's nothing really separating us but this little partition and a display that's kind of shit. Like there's nothing to protect us from like not hearing any of that stuff, which is kind of funny. So then the Reverend comes down, old guy, in his 80s. He could barely, like, he's kind of shuffling his feet around the place, whatever. And we're just kind of like trying not to look. We're looking down at our feet, like we're kind of just starting small talk with each other because it got really awkward with them yelling at each other in there. And we finally get brought in to do our ceremony thing, and we had to exchange our rings for this. I'm supposed to give my ring to her maid of honor. My wife gave her ring to my buddy Eddie for being the best man. And they're, during the ceremony we do the exchange, yada yada, or we hand them off back to one another. And Eddie decided that it would be a good idea. He's a stout gentleman, a lot like myself. and he decides to hold on to the ring by putting it on. He's wearing my wife's wedding band now, and we're there almost exactly where this couple is standing. Actually, maybe facing the other way because it seems like that's where the reverend actually stands and reads us the vow stuff. And when it came time to get the ring, like, okay, like, give me the ring for me to put on my wife. I have Eddie over here looking at everybody like, I can't take it off. So we're sitting there and we're just like, Eddie, the ring. We need the ring. And he's just like, it's stuck. He's looking at everybody. I can't take it off. And we're just like, oh my God, this is great. This is perfect. I look over at his wife and I was just like, that's your husband right there. Like, I hope you're proud. And we just all start laughing. And one thing I forgot to note was the amount of times these gentlemen had to verify my name, and not me and my wife's name, not me and anyone else's name, but me. And they were speaking very, very loud, very open, and very like, hey, it was a lot in the tone of like, hey, Reverend, when you go in there, can you just make sure you double check the groom's name? And he was like, what? Yes, the groom's name. Make sure you double check his name. And the doors are wide open. We could hear him. They're sitting right outside at their desk, like going over this thing. And he looks over at me and he asked me, how you doing? What was your name again? I was like, oh, it's Mikhail. And he's just like, oh, okay. And then next thing you know, we a little bit more time goes by. He's getting set up. And he was just like, and what was exactly your name again? I'm just like, it's Mikhail. And as he's kind of shuffling his papers, kind of getting himself all situated, I look back at everybody and I just tell them like, hey, no matter what goes on here today, do not let them take me. If they're about to call ICE right now to try to take me, I am a citizen. I have my identification. I did nothing wrong. And we just kind of all start laughing like, oh shit, this is super funny, shady, a little disrespectful, but whatever. These guys are funny, you know? And I just start laughing about it. And anyways, we get on with the ceremony. Eddie's struggling to give me the ring. Finally get it off. Me and my wife, we exchange the vows. And the next awkward part is the part where it was time to take photos. And this photo, this is great because this happens. This must be the same routine of photos that they've done from whenever this photo was taken, whether this is in the 90s or 80s, 90s, somewhere in that ballpark. They had me do this exact same pose along with the most awkward of awkward poses. I didn't even know how to look at my wife at some poses because, and in some instances, because they would just be like, look at her, tilt your head, smile, hold it, smile. And I'm just kind of like, I don't even know, like, what am I doing now at this point? Like, what do I do with my hands? And there was even one point where I was smiling and I was just like, why am I smiling like this? Like, this is crazy. I never smile like this. And everyone just, was cracking up at me. Even the photographer, who clearly wasn't related to this dysfunctional family, she got to at least enjoy a lot of this like lighthearted laughing that we all had as a little bridal party or whatever it's called. I'd say as much fun as we had, all that came to a stop as soon as they brought us the bill. And I look over at my wife and, mind you, she set this thing up. She chose the place. She decided this was going to be a good idea, right? We did it. I went along with it, yada, yada. And the bill that they stuck us with all the add-ons for this rink-a-dink Motel 6 front desk chapel of a place, $600, almost $700 that we spent on this ceremony. So me dragging out this story is purely my way of coping with the fact I need to document this. of coping with this $600 price tag that was attached to this really bad, gross looking like chapel. They even give you the video. They take video of it, old school camcorder thing on, and they give it to you on a CD-ROM. I don't even own anything that can play a CD anymore, but they give you this whole ceremony on a CD-ROM, and you're just kind of like, oh my God. And then they hand you the envelope where you're supposed to tip the reverend, and it's stamped on it like, hey, recommended tip amount $40. And I was just like, bro, like this whole thing is a fucking joke. Like the fact that, I mean, we got hustled. Clearly, we are the only dumbasses that paid that much, because I look over at all the other people that are in this vicinity. Like I said, how I described the person that was ahead of us that was dressed. There is no way in hell these guys paid for that package the way that we had to pay for it. There's no way in hell they did that. So high price to pay for the awesome memories, I suppose. But man, like that was like kind of like, holy shit, I need a drink now. Get me the fuck out of here. I need to get out of this clothes, or I need to go out, drink something. So let's just take this party on down. We decided to book a restaurant called Vanderpump over at Paris. So we head straight on over there right after Chapel of the Bells. Shout out Chapel of the Bells. Fucking $600 later. Me and my wife, we booked Vanderpump. We are fans of the show. So we wanted to go eat at the restaurant, wanted to have a couple drinks at the restaurant. While we were there, we got there maybe like an hour or two early. So we were all hungry, rode the train all the way down there. And we decided to hit Flavortown. Flavortown was a vibe, like you know, where I'm still in my tux, everybody's still in their dresses, looking nice, and we're over here eating, trash can nachos. Like, it doesn't get any better, you know what I mean? So we're there sitting down eating. We're all getting to know each other a little bit more. I'm kind of getting to know a little bit of my wife's friends a little bit more. They are getting to know a little bit of my friends a little bit more, my friend and his wife. And honestly, it was dope. Like, the best part about that, like, I love when we kind of get into, when you get into really good, deep conversations with people, especially if you don't know them too well. And, one thing that, I'll speak about on a later date was the fact that I will be meeting my father's side of the family, who I have never met, in these upcoming weeks. Almost less than 2 weeks now, for the first time. And, this whole thing has been a really big side story of mine. And so they asked me about it during dinner, and it's turned into this whole, like, man, like, how many of us grew up without, a father being around kind of thing, to having children outside of your marriage, and people are finding out about them now in today's age. Like, it's a lot more common than you think. I know for me, that was like, like normal for me, but to hear all these other people sharing the same stories, super dope. I will be, part of wanting to do this podcast stuff is having a platform like this to share these kind of stories and document them, and be able to talk to other people about their stories. And I can't wait to do that. So then it was time for our reservation over at Paris Vanderpump. Here, Paris Vanderpump, the great Lisa Vanderpump. This is one of her restaurant chains. She's popular from being a housewife, one of the original housewives, that show, yada, yada, whatever. Booked the restaurant. It was awesome. It was a great time. More bomb cocktails. And we actually got to be served by a cast person who's actually on the show. There he is right there, actually. Boom. That is Oliver, and I don't remember his mom's name, but Oliver comes out in the show, has a small side story, and his mom is popular or famously known at least for me and my generation or whatever, for being on the Jamie Foxx show as the love interest for Jamie Foxx. Don't remember that name either, but for those of you who know, that's her son. And he was actually our server, and super cool guy. He was very like, he brings us he approaches the table, introduces himself. I'm like, hey, wait, you're from the show. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, you guys watch the show, nice to meet you. And he sees us, we're all tuxedoed out, I'm all tuxedoed out, and my wife's in the white dress and everyone's all dressed fancy. He's, oh, what's the special occasion, yada yada. He brings us out like free shots, and they're super nice, super bomb, really easy to drink. And yeah, overall great vibe. Thank you, Oliver, for being super cool, being someone who's part of the show. It was super dope. Like you wouldn't think, at least I didn't think that, seeing how it's been a minute probably since that season of when he was relevant, like on the show. So for him to see him still there working, pretty cool. Like he must be making some pretty good dough. Like to stay there for this amount of time, like I'm sure he's chilling, just enjoying the Vegas scene and being Oliver from Vanderpump. Pretty cool. And yeah, man, that was, our Vegas trip was a short one, Friday through Sunday, and this was already like going late into our Saturday night. We really didn't have a whole lot of time left at this point. And we're in our later 30s. Bedtime's right around the corner once you hit midnight, and that's pretty much where we were at once we left Vanderpump. So me and the wife went back to the room, went to bed, and wanted to get ready for Fremont tomorrow, or the following morning. So that's pretty much what we did. We enjoyed the Vanderpump, had our trash can nachos prior to that, and then got married at Chapel of the Bells. Fucking shout out for stealing, shout out for fucking taking $600 for that bullshit, but good memories. Yeah, I think last thing to mention is just how expensive our following day was over at Fremont Street. If you haven't been to Fremont Street, this is usually the area of Vegas that's like more affordable. The casinos aren't so upscale, and the crowd is, everything's just older there. Like the casinos are older, the restaurants are older, so like usually the drinks are cheaper, the food is cheaper. They need to lure people away from the strip to come to this old Vegas, Fremont, so typically things are cheaper. That's how they get people to go over there, but not anymore. I don't know what happened. I paid for 2 beers out of this. Somewhere in here there was this bar. I don't recommend it. Maybe I just went to the sucker spot and like paid for a beer right here in the middle of this alley. But 2 michelada beers, like, so this bar similar to this, $42, $44 for 2 michis. They were tall, but still, like 44 for 2 beers. I was just like, man, you can't catch a break out here. Everything in Vegas, if you guys go to Vegas, highly suggest, depending on what your budget is, if you're driving down, buy everything on the way up, take it up there with you to the hotel room. Most likely you will have at least a refrigerator. No microwave. That's not really a thing in Vegas. Bring all your alcohol to your room. Bring a bottle. You could even walk with a bottle on the strip. It's pretty liberal the way that they are out there. Not a whole lot of rules when it comes to that. And then I guess the number one tip is just to bring your alcohol, because that's where they're going to bend you over, is the alcohol sales. Like, it's insane the amount of dollars that they're charging for alcohol now in Vegas. Like, you're definitely going to spend an arm and a leg if you're going to go to Vegas just on the alcohol alone. But yeah, man, I'd say, overall, it was a good trip. I can't wait to go back. I've been wanting to book another trip, immediately. I don't know if the next time I'll have a chance to go out there, I'll be able to go without the kids. But, regardless, I have a good time, whether it's with the kids and or not. Me and the wife have a great time. And if it's with the kids, we also have a good time. We just kind of have to throw in a couple more arcade visits and the pool. So Can't wait for our next trip. Hopefully, I can figure out a spot on the calendar where it's a down season, so it's not as expensive. Valentine's weekend is a very expensive weekend. I do not recommend going unless it's for a special occasion, like Chapel of the Bells. But you know, I just get your. I should have just had my buddy just become ordained or something, or whatever that's called, and just marry us, like do something local at the beach, or I don't know. We should have there were way better ways to spend our money than that. But like I said, good time. I honestly wish I recorded it because it was really funny. I don't know if my story is going to do it justice with just how much laughing we did while we were at Chapel of the Bells or that whole night, but I could honestly say I had a really good time. And it seemed like the rest of the guys that, were there with us enjoyed themselves as well. So as much as I had a good time, all I kept seeing on the internet this past week is a monkey that has not been having a good time. And that monkey goes by the name of Punch. Super random how this thing just became so viral. And I think it's because it goes deeper than what we're seeing on the layer. And I can kind of give my breakdown perspective, 2 cents, why I think this is something that's like really sticking with people and they're getting, pretty emotional about it. Okay, so there's a baby monkey named Punch. Punch has been going viral all week on the internet. And to me, on the surface, it appears just like another cute little monkey animal story. But when you take a closer look, you look at everyone's reactions, you see at, the pain they feel for this little guy. You clearly see he's running, he's scared. I think a lot of people are seeing either a version of themselves or someone that they know who has been dealing with a little bit of a outer social circle, kind of wanting to be accepted but just can't seem to fit in with the crowd kind of person. So to kind of give a fuller story about Punch, Punch was abandoned by his mother. He was raised by humans in this zoo. I believe the zoo is in Japan. And now he is trying to figure out how to assimilate with the other monkeys that are here in the zoo. And for whatever reason, maybe due to being different species, they know that he isn't a part of their, family or whatever. He just does not seem to be able to fit in to the point where they actually like physically bully the guy. That they seem to bully the guy. Case in point, you see the other bigger monkeys dragging Punch, bullying the guy, and look where he's running. He runs away and he runs over to this part of the story is this giraffe. This orangutan. So this orangutan has been almost like his comforting blanket type thing. So you see him getting rejected, you see him getting bullied, and he runs to go hold on to his stuffed toy for comfort. And just this whole picture of, the physicality of what the other monkeys are doing to him. And, he's so little. He's a cute little, obviously cute little monkey. And to see him running in pain to this comfort animal, and you just can't help but feel bad for the guy. And I think to sum it up, people know, at least the ones that have been very emotionally triggered by this, those people know what it's like to be an outsider, a person who just can't seem to fit in. And they see Punch, they see this kind of play out in a more animalistic, physical way, but it's a representation for what I think a lot of kids, go through. And I, have a personal story. It kind of sucks, it's a little hard to share, but I think it's very relevant, in a not so physical way, but in a way that, my son, my oldest son, he is he's on the spectrum. He's pretty high functioning. I don't know if they use that verbiage anymore, but on the outside, you really wouldn't notice, I guess, his differences if you will, especially socially until you start talking to him and he starts talking to you. Super nice kid, the sweetest kid. So when it comes to like social cues or like trying to like assimilate to a group or like my son could care less about having to acquiesce to anybody's like interests or anything like that. It's totally about just what he's into. He wants to share it and he loves it and like that's all he wants to do kind of thing. So the particular situation that I think my son and Punch kind of share is having issues, kind of, I guess, is feeling like an outsider. And what I notice is, for example, I'll take my son to the park with his younger brother, and my the younger brother is he's neurotypical, as they would say. He's not on the spectrum, and he has no issues making friends. He can go up to strangers, kids. Hey, do you want to play with me? Let's do this. Let's play that. Let's, like no issues. Meanwhile, my older is he's kind of at the point where he's a little bit, I kind of got to push him to go play, but he's kind of at the point where I could tell he's a little bit cold to a lot of that stuff. And I'm sure it's come from a lot of rejection from the other kids, a lot of non-acceptance. They don't really, when he does play, they kind of think he's a little weird or off, or he just doesn't seem to fit in as seamlessly as like, my youngest can kind of do. And so my son he's very quick, when we go to the park, or he avoids a lot of the situations now on the playground with other kids, and he preferred, to sit with me or mom. And I gotta, constantly, like kind of push, uh a controlled challenge, to challenge him to go out there, to play, to get in there. And, like I want him to be uncomfortable or learning to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because as much as I want to protect him from those kids that are, potentially making him feel bad about not playing with him, he's going to grow up in a world where the world isn't going to adjust to him and his needs all the time. He's going to have to learn to adapt and understand that he needs to figure out ways to like get along with people and make friends and like make connections. And like, I think that's, a big part of the human experience, is being able to have a friend. And I know nowadays that's a lot harder to do, but I still think that that's something that's very important, especially when they're young. So I feel bad all the time. I hate seeing it. I hate seeing the way he gets, so apprehensive around the kids, and I just feel so bad, Definitely hard to talk about, but it's a necessary thing. And so when I watch Punch and I see he doesn't fit in with a bunch of outsiders, that is something that I'm just like, oh, I see a little bit of like, ah, shit, my son, But anyways, that is my kind of interpretation of what, Punch and the rest of this monkey and his experience is going through. If I would love to hear if you agree, or if you have a different point of view on why you think Punch the Monkey has become so viral. So this week was also an interesting week for UFOs, UAPs, aliens, however you describe them. But this was a very interesting week for a lot of the alien fans out there. And for whatever reason, the government decided to get in on this. And I just always find it odd on timing of things, like I'm a little bit of like, oh, it's a little interesting you guys decide to announce this. You guys are going to be declassifying alien files, and it's a little odd, considering the climate of everything with Epstein files, and we're on the brink of war with Iran and all the criticisms that are involved with that. And like, there's so many storylines and intermingling of things, and the alien thing is just kind of so random to get plopped down at like, in this time, of this, in this climate, this is the stuff that you feel that we need to know about. Okay. But this clip, which seems to be a little bit of an older clip, is what sparked my like, oh shoot, okay, there's like some alien stuff going on, and this is like a clip from Joe Rogan speaking on it. Let's check it. Let's check this out.
And you want to start talking about like gravity propulsion systems that the government's been hiding, and there's back engineering programs. They've got crashed UFOs, and there's one of them. It's only like a couple 100 feet wide, but you go inside of it, it's the size of a football field. Like,
Right, like
what?
the TARDIS.
Yeah. Or the one in Korea that's so big they had to build a building around it because they couldn't move it.
Right.
I want to know what that is.
Same.
Supposedly, that's one of many structures that are UFO related that are so big that we cannot remove them. And instead of removing them, we build structures around them to kind of like block the I guess the sideshow that it would be, the spectacle that it would become if people found out about it. But hearing Joe and his guests kind of mention this so like off the cuff about it was kind of like eye-opening. And then it brought up this clip that was recently done on a podcast with Obama, who decided to chime in, seemingly accidentally mention what he felt on how he feels whether UFOs are real or not. Let's check it out.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in.
And he's so like, yeah, they're real, but since when are we just confirming these things? So like, to me, this felt like this was such a like closed like lid on whether or not they never answered these things straight up, and this was like a very like who knows kind of thing. It's such a classified thing that maybe even the president doesn't know. Like, and then all of a sudden on a podcast, yeah, obviously they're real, but
what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the president of the United States.
What was the first question?
That is such a wild thing to say, that there's a level of secrecy that is so high that not even the president is allowed to know whether there are other beings amongst us on this like land together, and he's not even allowed to know. Like, that's a little problematic if you ask me, but I mean, it would be kind of naive. I think it's naive for people to think that there's absolutely no way in hell that there's like nothing else out there. And it almost presents that question that's like, what's scarier, if we are amongst other people, or if we are actually the only people in this universe, like totally alone? Like, both are pretty scary. How dumb do they think they are for us to believe that the president wouldn't know this? I have a feeling that if anybody is going to know this, at some point it's going to have to be the president.
Question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
And I would imagine that's everyone's first thought, second, third, maybe top 10 at least. And at no point you're not going to peek at some files, talk to some people, like rub some elbows with like something that would like give you an idea of what's going on, real concrete solid proof, not these old grainy YouTube videos that everyone shares. Like, come on. And then, you know, that obviously brought up other Obama.
They did not have.
Hold on, run that back.
And I'm actually being serious here. Is that there's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory.
Now, mind you, this day and age, a lot of drone activity that moves in ways that we all assumed alien activity would move, you know, based on old, you know, grainy footage, the way things would shift and move and go up and straight down, unlike anything of a helicopter or a plane. So who knows the drone technology nowadays that can kind of be like throwing off whether we're seeing things when we're not, you know. So it's kind of hard to say in this day and age what is what anymore. So it's kind of unidentified flying object is such a all-encompassing thing now. It's hard to distinguish, like, what the hell are you talking about UFO? What would that even look like outside of what a drone can do?
They did not have an easily explainable pattern. And so, I think that people still take seriously trying to investigate and figure out what that is.
I'd say so. Clearly, Obama, one of the more outspoken presidents about aliens, if he's able to do this off on a podcast. And from what it seems like, Trump did not take kindly to him speaking on those things, as he called out immediately that he's not allowed to or wasn't supposed to. So another thing that has come up on my timeline, when I originally saw this clip, I was kind of surprised at the reaction a lot of people were having online to this. I remember covering on a previous podcast I was part of, where we spoke about I don't know if you guys have seen the social media personality Balin. Balin has her own TV show. I want to say it's on TLC, where she shares her experience with Tourette's, and this in relation to what happened with Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo, where they were receiving this award for Sinners, awesome movie, where they were on stage over in London, and they were presenting this award for best visual effects. And and while they were up there, they were unexpectedly berated by someone in the crowd, and you guys can check out the clip.
Delroy and I are delighted to be presenting the first BAFTA of the night for a vital part of movie making.
So I don't know if you guys caught that. Well, one last time, this is unbleeped, so you can kind of make out what was said if you listen carefully. Give it a little space. So what you heard, what you may not have heard, but what was said was the hard R N-word towards these two on stage. And the gentleman that had blurted that word was a gentleman who's actually part of the show, who has, I believe he's part of this movie that's actually about Tourette's. The gentleman who blurted this out has Tourette's, and ironically couldn't help himself and blurted out hard R at Michael B. Jordan and Lindo. Michael B. Jordan and Delroy. You could see on their face, Delroy is kind of holding his tongue back from snapping, saying something. Michael maybe, he may have caught it. I wouldn't be so sure that I would have caught that in real time, just to assume that was the word that was being yelled out in dead silence. Like, I would have been like, excuse me, that's, what was that? That's definitely not what I'm thinking it's being said. They handled it like pros, man. Like, shout out to them for keeping the class and, continuing their presentation. But the general public definitely had choice words for the gentleman. I want to say John Davidson, who was part of this, who was the gentleman with Tourette's. So the story gets kind of complicated, because the man who shouted that word was John Davidson, a Scottish Tourette's campaigner, a man who has dedicated his entire life to raising awareness for Tourette's and understanding of Tourette syndrome, and the shout of what was an involuntary tick, which, I would see clips. What introduced me to get a little bit familiar to it was that Balin show, and her ticks were so odd, so, specific about things that it almost felt fake, and I made a few jokes about whether I believed whether those ticks were real or not. And, they just seemed so outrageous. Like, I was like, there's no way this stuff is real. But from what everyone is saying, this is a real thing and they can't help it. So to give that benefit of the doubt, a person who this is a disability, that benefit, that is really something involuntary, to be a racial slur, it's a bit odd, and I think it's fair for people to not be okay with that word, with being thrown around at a whim, and for people to have to take it on the chin, which is, I think, the difficult situation people are in. Not only are you having to deal with that word being hurled at you, but you also have to turn around and, like I described, these two, be professional about it, because the person who's doing it, like I said, you're giving them the benefit of the doubt, is unable to help it. They're unable to control it. It's involuntary. And it's a hard situation and pill to swallow, you know? So obviously a lot of people online aren't going to be as understanding as those two were. And a lot of people are judging whether they feel like this is a real thing or not. You know, it's a very convenient excuse, but I mean, the guy has a really long track record of raising awareness, having this like legit situation, this Tourette syndrome, documented as a real thing. So it's kind of, you know, in one hand, people think that it might be fake, but there's been a whole lot of, for example, here is the Breakfast Club reacting to the situation and giving their opinions on whether they believe this is a legitimate disability or maybe a intentional racist act.
My reaction would have been cracker, just because. I just don't know why. I just know I would have been like, cracker. That's
Fight fire with
Charlemagne's crazy.
I just can't help it. Maybe I got coprolalia too. I don't know.
That's the name of the specific Tourette syndrome that John Davidson has, however he pronounced that.
Okay. Now, the reason I'm giving the BAFTA Film Awards, okay, to host Alan Cumming and all the handlers of John Davidson Donkey is because the reality is he shouldn't have been in the room.
I disagree with that, because at what point are you then restricting someone who has this disability, the same equal opportunities as everyone else? Mind you, I understand racial slurs is this person's, like, not to say that's his disability, but that's like the thing that as a result of his disability. But I think you put yourself in a really bad spot if you start restricting people with, or a person with a disability, any sort of opportunity, especially when he's involved in the show, maybe an award, a presentee, a presenter kind of thing. I don't know if I would go that far.
If a person has a condition that makes him scream out inappropriate, obscene, or taboo words, why risk having him in the room? There are people that networks wouldn't think about putting on TV, especially live TV, because they have no idea what they might.
That is the key point to all of this. This was on I want to say it was like on a 20-minute delay or so. It was a pretty decent amount of time of delay, where someone had come across that situation in real time, looked at it, decided to allow it to continue to stay on the show and be aired on broadcast television. That is where I think the mishap. There's one thing to kind of handle that situation in-house, apologize to the presenters and the crowd, anyone who've been offended by it. But the person who was in charge of kind of like that buffer, that filter, they dropped the ball on this completely and should have caught that before the general public outside of that auditorium got a hold of it.
Say, example, Kanye West. And Kanye's not diagnosed with Tourette's or what's that thing called?
Coprolalia.
He's just
or anything like that. So you have this man, John Davidson, who has a condition that he apparently can't control. So why would you give him the opportunity to sit in this audience and offend and insult people? Okay, and listen, I don't like the fact that when it comes to coprolalia,
it's involuntary though.
Coprolalia.
We say the words they speak are involuntary. Okay, we say people are not choosing to say these things, and they usually do not reflect the person's beliefs, feelings, or intentions. How the hell we know? Okay, that's hard for me to believe. All right, somebody somewhere taught him the language. He was around people that he learned this behavior and this language from. So don't tell me they don't reflect the person's beliefs. I don't know if they reflect the person's beliefs or not. He didn't yell out black people. He yelled out niggas. Okay, that says a lot.
It's such a unfortunate. God, that guy's in a tough spot because that's all part of this raising awareness. I am assuming that's part of his campaign, because there's going to be a lot of people like Charlemagne that just aren't. They just don't believe that. Out of all the words, that's your involuntary tick. The hard R. And I don't agree with telling people how they should feel about certain words. That word in particular has a lot of deep rooted meaning. People have been killed, sold, enslaved. Like it's a way to dehumanize. There's so many layers to that word. And to tell, I see a lot of the online. Black people need to get over it. Black people need to, not be so sensitive. And I don't think that's the right way to go about, policing or telling people the way they should feel about a word or not is not. I don't think it's up to them to policy that, like they shouldn't be trying to tell people to do that or not. That's not something that that's not something that you can kind of tell people to control, So if Charlemagne takes offense to John using that word, totally valid. On the flip side, there does need to be a little bit of like, hey, on a serious level, this guy is legitimate. He cannot control it. Advertising on, your platform, whether you believe this person has a disability or not, that has to be some sort of violation of something somewhere. Like there's reasons why people can't check to see if people, like, they can't validate people's disabilities and ask to see X certificate or Y, you know what I mean? Like there are laws against that, So I don't know. To me, it's a little bit of a gray area, but I mean, they're all valid to feel that way. I just think it kind of sucks for the guy who's disabled, and I believe that it's a true involuntary tick. So it's
now
shitty.
His symptoms, from what I read, first began at 12, and he was diagnosed at age 25. If this is accurate, he's 84 now. So it's possible racism is his default setting. Okay. What I don't understand is how come people with this condition don't yell out fun stuff like titties? Okay. According to
from what I've understood from Balin giving her explanation, a lot of it is the allure, not the allure, but the draw of saying something that is very forbidden, very like you're things that you aren't supposed to touch or do. They're like triggering, stressful. It's like those are like things that like they cannot those thoughts they're unable to like control. And it for them it kind of displays in a way that's like, oh shit, like Balin, her thing, she's always talking about baby wieners, like come on, like out of everything but it's for whatever reason these people have certain things that trigger their inappropriate, like these inappropriate thoughts that have to be like blurted out. And it's pretty weird to see. Like it can be easily assumed that they're just like faking it, but like I don't know. I mean, it's tough.
They often yell out obscene sexual phrases too. I didn't hear one throughout the whole ceremony. If you have those, where are they? Okay, all those women that hit the stage, not once did he yell out, "I'm horny." Okay, not once did he yell out, "Cheeks." Okay, not once did he yell out, "Pop that pee thing." All right, where was put it in your mouth? Okay, if John Davidson would have sounded like Uncle Luke in the 90s, then I might buy the he has a condition thing. It's just convenient that he saved his most offensive outburst for black people. Okay, I can be respectful of the condition, but I don't respect none of y'all that allowed him to be there with the condition. And then this morning, Good Morning America ran a story saying BAFTA had ample time to edit it out.
Yeah.
BAFTA, suck my D. Suck my D, suck my D, suck my D, and I don't suffer from no condition. Okay, these words I'm telling you right now are voluntary. Okay, you mean to tell me?
And that's pretty much the gist that's pretty much where I land on it. There were people there are a reason why things are on tape delay in case there's anything obscene that is like detrimental to the network and could get people in a lot of trouble. There's someone whose job is to catch these things, problematic things, and they just purposely left that in. So that's the person I think they need to look into. And there was a report even from, CNN. They said that Davidson himself had told CNN that he was feeling like on the red carpet, that he was feeling these tics, a little bit more than usual, probably, due to stress, nerves, who knows what can like deep rooted is what's setting these things off. And he said that, that certain situations, trigger different emotions, different tics. He knew it might happen. He left the auditorium on his own about 25 minutes in after the incident because he was aware of the distress he was putting on everyone. And he didn't, he wasn't asked to leave. He actually left the auditorium on his own. And he left a statement even the following day that he's mortified. He's considers his involuntary tics to be he's mortified that anybody would even think that those involuntary tics are something that's voluntary or intentional. He just reiterates that he's been dedicating his whole life for awareness, and he's, I'm sure he's just really bummed out that everything kind of goes down the drain when, for that word. It is one of those cardinal words you can't say. The final thing I really wanted to kind of touch on and talk about was what the hell has been going on in Mexico and kind of the videos that have been all over my X timeline. This thing has been brutal. A lot of the videos I won't be able to share on here, but man, as we all know by now, or most of us I'm sure know by now, the cartel, they run Mexico, and one of the leaders of the Jalisco city, or has been killed by the Mexican army. Some believe through assistance from the United States. I'm sure that's yet to be confirmed. But when you hear the such a villain in Mexico get taken down, you would assume that there would be a whole lot of peace that would come from that. You think you take out the bad guy, there'd be, nothing but peace left. But in all actuality, it led to chaos, fires turned up all over the city, videos from all over Puerto Vallarta. That was just kind of like, if you're a tourist, I'm sure just scared the living shit out of you, because you never know where they're coming, whether they're coming for you next. Who are they going to burn down next? What are they going to burn down next? So before I get too far into the story, who is El Mencho? So full name, Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, better known as El Mencho, leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, has been killed in a military operation. If you're not familiar with the name, here's what you need to understand. We're talking about one of the most powerful cartel figures in modern history. A man whose organization grew into a global trafficking network known for extreme military-style violence, tactics, and the ability to directly challenge the Mexican government. There are videos of El Mencho directly calling the police and like reminding them, don't mess with me, you know who I am. All this stuff I've done for you guys, don't cross me. To sum it up, what's been translated. And on paper, you would assume removing someone like this would be a massive victory for the country of Mexico. But here's the reality. It makes things extremely complicated. And Mexico, we all know, has been in a long war against the cartels. And usually the power structure, there's always someone next in line ready to take the throne. And they've already chosen someone, from what I've gathered online. So this brings me to this video clip right here. This gentleman sitting here in the middle is reportedly the next heir to the throne, nicknamed El Yogurt. Don't be fooled by the name. Very dangerous guy. Let's see what this video.
Aquí andamos ir en Europa, no, oiga, ya aquí andamos encargados. Nomás para ver si va a estar con nosotros o no, porque está ayudando a los carteles unidos y pues le mandamos el mensaje que se acomode con nosotros o se acomode bien con ellos, porque los vergazos van bien. Aquí estamos en los bancos, para que sepa nomás. Y no me escondo, para que vea. ¿Cómo andas, Gabriel?
So supposedly this gentleman right here, they already have next in line, man, next man up. So things are going to continue to stay murky down there in Mexico. The most disturbing things were the videos of just the images of just the city up in flames. Here we go, right here.
Wow, shit is getting crazy.
All over
the fucking city.
TV.
This is nuts.
Now, there's a lot of people that are saying contradicting things online. At least this has been a couple days now, where a lot of people are saying, the city is back to normal. Business as usual. Nothing really to report on anymore. But I mean, if I had a trip to Mexico planned anytime soon, I'm definitely considering canceling that, rescheduling that for a later time. And then not to consider, I believe it's the World Cup that they're going to be having down in Mexico later this year. There's no way in hell we got to move this. Hell no. And that's supposed to be taking place in Mexico as well. So good luck to anybody still willing to travel then. That just sounds like some sort of hub for some terroristic threat attack, something. Like, there's no way. Like, as much as I love Mexico, traveling to Mexico, I love PV personally. That's such an awesome place to go visit, have a vacation. It's just too unsafe right now. And I know, be on the lookout for a cheap vacation. If there's going to ever be one, those prices are going to drop. Go at your own risk. But just be careful, man, because these people, they love to get their hands on an American to hold hostage. So be careful.
Yeah. Wow. Everywhere you look, we're up on the roof here. Fires all over the place. Can't even see the mountains anymore.
It's a lot of smoke. Cars are burning. Buses, people are getting robbed. People are getting kidnapped. Like, there's one of the buses, and there was video of people lighting that up on fire. Like, too crazy, too chaotic right now. I really hope the Mexican government can continue to stay strong and not acquiesce to these gangs that are trying to strong arm the government to fold and allow them to keep doing what they're doing. If Mexico can stay strong and like just stick to their guns and continue to like push them out of their country, then Mexico is going to have so much brighter of a future and a more prosperous country for sure. But all right, I think that'll do it for today. I think that was a good episode. Please let me guys know what you think. I think that's going to be a wrap for today on the Big Miklo Show. We covered a lot. I thought that Vegas story went a lot longer than I was expecting. And I hope you guys walk away with a good time, maybe a laugh or two, maybe, informed on a situation or two, something to talk about with somebody, or at the very least, maybe a good story to retell with someone. If you stuck around and are still here, you already know what time it is. I'm going to say it again. I just want to thank you for sticking around. And I gotta say it again. If you can please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, follow me on all my socials at Big Miklo the Creator. every follow, every like, every share. This helps the show just reach more people. And that's how I want to grow this thing with you guys. And again, if you want to show more support, you can go on and head over to the Patreon at Big Miklo. Patreon.com/ we'll get early access and exclusive content. Link is going to be in the description. And if you want to listen to the episode, this is a video and audio version of the podcast. You can catch it on Spotify. Just search under the Big Miklo Show and you should find it. And if you've got any thoughts, hot takes, or questions on anything that we covered today, hit me up in the comments or find me on my socials. Find me on social media, Big Miklo, the creator. I read pretty much everything, one man show. And I honestly I love hearing different perspectives, and I love the interaction. And yeah, man, I'll catch you guys on the next episode. I'm going to be doing these weekly. I'm going to continue to bring you guys current event, personal stories. Sometimes there might even be a little bit of sports in there. And I appreciate you guys. Everybody be kind to one another. I'll catch